house was built in 1679 for the Duke of Noailles by the architect Jules Hardouin Monsard. And it was what we call a maison de plaisance, a small retreat away from court and away from the capital for the Noailles, who were very powerful courtiers. We can see the house here. It was as it was initially built, and it was surrounded by a vast landscape garden, first in the à la Française manner and then later in the à la Anglaise manner. It was expropriated at the Revolution, and the neighborhood became, in the 1840s, something of a garden suburb of Paris. And you can see the main street here has cut through the original Maison de Plaisance, which is located here, cutting through its Grand Salon, and then leaving on either side two independent wings. And we take care of the south wing, what we call the Appartement de la Duchesse, the Duchess's apartment. This consists of only three grand 18th century salons, which we use for conferences, guided visits, and concerts. I think we started with digital media because a lot of visitors to the house had difficulty really picturing what the house had been before, and also maybe felt a little disappointed by finding only such a small fragment of such a vast ensemble still standing. So for us, digital media was a way to really present the house as a sort of synecdoche, which is going to allow people to understand the 18th century in a different manner through this intimate fragment of a house. I've organized my intervention this afternoon into three separate areas. The first is Instagram. The second is our website, and I'll finish with the virtual reconstitution and visualization of parts of the house. Instagram, I understand, is probably, maybe for many of you, not your favorite thing to do, or for some of you is perhaps just a hobby. But in terms of communication for an historic property, I think that Instagram can be a really, really useful jumping off point. It's a way to reach a vast number of people using a fairly simple setup. You can set up an Instagram account in 2 or 3 minutes, and you can manage it largely from your telephone if need be. But I think this is really, for us as people who work on historic houses, a best way to make the principal asset of our house, which is its visual appearance, work in its favor and become a tool of communication with the broader world. So here I'm just showing you our Instagram page, and through stories we're able to promote different events that are taking place within the house. Here you can see a conference or a concert, or also some of our digital reconstitution projects. So I think for us this was really a first step. We'd wondered if we really had enough material to develop a digital interface for the house. And one thing that setting up an Instagram account makes you do is gather together all of the images that you have and all of the stories that you want to tell. And from there, it flows quite naturally. It's quite an easy thing to manage. I think fairly quickly we had just under 1,000 visitors, or 1,000 subscribers to the house. So I would urge you to begin there if this is not something that you're familiar with already. Yes, here we can see some of our stories. From the Instagram, it actually, we've decided fairly quickly that actually we wanted to go the next step and develop a website. And we were very fortunate in having a member of our scientific committee, her brother was a website designer. So he was able to design a site for us for a fairly low amount. I believe it was around 1,500 euros. And this was, again, a really vital way of staying in touch with the public. As you can see here, we're able both to give them a brief account of the history of the house, and then also show some of our digital reconstitutions, and keep them aware of special events that are happening at the house. we were able, through the events company Wheeze, to set up a direct sale of tickets for events through the website. So this really creates a very easy interface for our visitors. And again, this is also something which is fed by our Instagram account. Through Instagram, you can have a direct link to your own dedicated website. Here we've got our page for conversations, our conferences at the hotel, visits. And then one thing that I thought was really useful with the website was that we were able to create a link where people could download PDF articles on the history of the house. And again, this becomes a way of expanding the interest of the website beyond simply promotion to scholarly research, and allowing scholars and interested individuals to learn more about the aspects of the house. So here we have our articles page, and then by clicking on those squares, you can have access to a PDF of various articles. I'm going to go now to what I think is probably the most exciting aspect of the Hôtel de Noailles today, which is our virtual reconstitutions and visualizations. As I said in the beginning of the talk, the house is really just a small fragment of a much grander ensemble, and general members of the public have a great deal of difficulty in really imagining that. And through our relationship with a company called RS, we were able to use historic documents to reconstitute the house and its gardens. This is a video which I won't show you, but which you can see on our website. And we've also been able to, using virtual reality, to recreate the missing part of the house, so visitors can experience that using an iPad in the garden. So this is something which I admit is rather gimmicky, and I think in 5 or 6 years it will seem extremely primitive. But for the moment, it's an excellent way to interest the public, especially the young public. And it was also an initiative that got us a lot of local press and thus a lot of visitors. From here, we went along to reconstitute missing parts of the house. This is again work done by the company RS. This is a space that hasn't existed at least since the revolution. And having just participated in a conference at Versailles on the restitution of historical environments, I can say that there's a lot of skill out there, especially within universities and technical programs, programmers who are very excited to have historical and scholarly applications for their work, but don't necessarily have the background in terms of research or body of research to really create compelling reconstitutions. So if this is the sort of thing that would interest you in terms of your house and expanding the public's for it, I would really urge you to get in touch with the local technical college or a local university computer science department to see if this isn't something that might be possible.